What's going on, guys? Lance here. So in every mainline Pokemon game, we have Pokemon professors, the research professionals in the Pokemon world studying the creatures. These characters always have something to add to the story, and there's a lot to be discovered about them. And something I always thought was cool was the scrapped Professor Oak battle in the original Red and Blue. And that got me thinking, what Pokemon would professors use if they had a full team of 6 Pokemon? And it's not like it's too unlikely, seeing that some of these trainers went on journeys of their own when they were younger, so having full teams could make sense. So for this video, I assembled what I think could be Pokemon teams for all current Pokemon professors, as of Sword and Shield. And I'm not just using the game material for this, I'm going to be referencing things like the anime and mangas as well, because for some professors there's little to nothing on what Pokemon they could have, so I have to get creative and stretch a little further. And at the end of the day, this is just speculation and not definitive. You could have a totally different Pokemon that could better fit a professor than what I chose. So other than that, let's get right into the first professor. So starting in game order with Professor Oak. Now for Oak, there's a lot of stuff to go on in all media. Now I could just copy and paste his Red and Blue secret battle team, but that's too easy. I think that Oak, having traveled to other regions and have experienced a lot more than just Kanto, we could spice things up a bit. So for his first member, I'm going to choose Charizard. This is because in the 4th Pokemon movie, Sam is alluded to be Professor Oak due to some certain lines of him knowing that they were traveling with Sam for that bit, when Ash and gang never mentioned Sam's name. And also Samuel Oak, Sam, it's kind of obvious. But in that movie, Sam owned a Charmeleon, so I think it'd be fun to give him a Charizard instead of any of the other Kanto starters. Next, I wanted to give him Dragonite, after the one he used in the Pokemon Mastermind of the Mirage Pokemon. I know this is a barely referenced and kinda disliked special, and honestly when I was younger I thought it was a fever dream or something, before I researched and found out it was a real thing, and it's just very hidden because it was kinda questionable. But in that movie, Oak used a Dragonite, and I think that's cool, so he gets one. Next, I'm gonna take it simple and grab his Exeggutor from his secret battle team. For this, I think he could use a grass type on his team, and also his cousin Samson Oak from the Alola region uses Alolan Exeggutor, so they could kind of have the opposite of each other's Pokemon there. Next is Espeon, and yes, a non-Kanto Pokemon on his team. Oak has traveled and visited Johto from time to time, and he also gives the character rival an Eevee in Pokemon Yellow, so one can assume he has an Eevee of his own maybe. And when he went to Johto, he could have evolved it during the daytime, and I don't think that's too out there, and it still kind of fits Oak, so he can have Espeon. Next is another non-Kanto Pokemon in Rotom. Now we actually see Oak catch Rotom in the anime episode To Catch a Rotom, and I think even if it's one of his newer Pokemon, it'd still be fun to see Oak use a Gen 4 Pokemon. I mean, in the games he does have a house in Eternita, which is close to the old chateau where you get Rotom in those games, so kinda fits. And for his final Pokemon, we have Mew. Now yes, giving Oak a mythical Pokemon is kind of unfair, but Oak's character has always had some tie to Mew, whether it be location or just kind of around when he's around. And he forms a sync pair with Mew in Pokemon Masters, so it wouldn't be too out there to give Mew as his final Pokemon. So there you have it, Oak's final team: Charizard, Dragonite, Rotom, Espeon, Exeggutor, and Mew. So next we have Professor Elm of Johto. So Elm was a lot harder to make a team for since he has little Pokemon shown, unlike Oak. So most of his team is kind of based on his study and factors like that. So to start, we'll have him have a Corsola. This was shown off in the anime, and I think was the only Pokemon he actually had in the anime besides the starters he gave out, so we're gonna give him Corsola for sure. So next we have to dive into the Adventures manga. Now in the manga he had a Sentret, so I'm gonna give him Furret. It may be a weaker Pokemon, but it's a meme, so it gets the pass. And also, Sentret can be found right next to the lab, so it's kind of an easy one. Next, I had to look into the Pocket Monsters manga. No, not the adventure manga. A different manga. This is the one with the talking Clefairy that is there for slapstick or something. I don't know. Elm had a Sudowoodo in this, and it works for Elm considering it's a Johto Pokemon that does have a baby form, and he does like studying Pokemon eggs, so we're giving him Sudowoodo for that reason. Next, I chose to give him both Togekiss and Blissey for the same reason. I'm building a stall to— no, they're both from baby Pokemon, which is Elton's, fascination in this region, so they both seemed right to give him Pokemon that kind of both fit that criteria and work well for him. Next, I had to kind of just give him another Pokemon, so I chose one of the starters, being Meganium. I think Meganium is best suited for Elm out of the three. For no reason, just I think that for Alligator and Typhlosion just don't seem to fit him as well. And there you have it, Elm's team. Corsola, Sudowoodo, Togekiss, Furret, Meganium, and Blissey. So next is Professor Birch of Hoenn. Now Birch again has little Pokemon to his name, so we kind of have to dig into some more obscure media to get some team members. So to start, we're going big with Wailord. Now Wailord appears as one of Birch's Pokemon in the Adventures manga. He gives this Pokemon away to Sapphire so she can cross the sea, but for this, he's one of Birch's Pokemon on his team, so starting big. Next on his team, I'm going to give him both Shiftry and Ludicolo. He has both Seedots and Lotads at his lab, and they're early route Pokemon near his lab, so he could have both those Mons. And also, they're nature-related Pokemon, so they fit Birch's theme of researching Pokemon in nature. Next, I'm giving him Mightyena, after the Poochyena that chases him around at the beginning of the game. It's kind of a gag team member, but it shows he faced his fears and it works out. I also wanted to give him Torkoal since, again, it's another nature-related Pokemon, and since Torkoal's got the whole weather thing going for him and that's another theme of Hoenn, I think that Torkoal kind of fits. And finally, I'm giving him Mega Aggron. Yes, a Mega Pokemon. Hoenn had Megas, so I can give him a Mega. And also, he did have an Aeron in the Adventures manga, but again, he gave it away to Sapphire. So we're just going to give it to him anyways. And I think it'd also be fun for him to have, and also considering he does research with Professor Sycamore on the Pokemon of Kalos and Hoenn, so maybe he learned about Mega Evolution through that and also got his Mega Stone, since Mega Aggron is in both X and Y and ORADs. So there you have it, Birch's team. Shiftry, Ludicolo, Mightyena, Wailord, Torkoal, and Mega Aggron. Mostly nature-themed Pokemon, but as to be expected from Hoenn. Next is Sinnoh's Professor Rowan. And Rowan is weird since it's alluded that he might have been a trainer or even a champion since the whole being allowed in the Hall of Fame room, and the comment on how it's been a while since he's been in this room and the last time was with Cynthia, but I digress. So first, I'm giving him Staraptor since every Sinnoh team has one, but more because there are Staraptors shown in his lab in the anime, and there's a possibility that they're his. And also, they're the only Pokemon he has shown besides the starters. He also has no other Pokemon shown in the manga or anime. So there are, I guess, two other Pokemon he's shown to have, in that it's the Munchlax and Baniri you get shown at the game's intro. But I'm just going to be taking the Munchlax. So Snorlax works because Rowan did visit Kanto to study with Oak for some time, and Snorlax are in both Kanto and Sinnoh regionally, so having one isn't too out there. Also, Snorlax has a unique evolution method in Happiness, and since Rowan studies Pokemon evolution, it makes sense. And on the topic of his journey to Kanto, I want to give him Rhyperior since it evolves from a Kanto Pokemon through trade, another type of evolution. And he also could have done this trade when he was in Kanto with Oak, and it could have been a part of their study at the time. I wanted to continue the trend of different evolutionary types, so I chose to give him a location-based evolution, and I chose Glaceon. It seems fair to give him this Pokemon since it was that or Leafeon, and so far his team's been only physical attackers, so I wanted to spice it up a bit. And since he does not have a stone-based evolution, I'm going to give him Roserade as well, since they are obtainable only a town over and it fits the evolution theme. And finally, we're giving Rowan Mega Garchomp. It could be considered a stretch, but Rowan supposedly gave Cynthia her first Pokemon and Pokedex, and since I don't see a Torterra, Empoleon, or Infernape as her ace on her team, she didn't get one of those. So maybe Rowan gave her a Gible as her first Pokemon after his own. And why Mega? Because he studied weird evolutions. And it could connect because he did teach Professor Sycamore when he was younger, and Professor Sycamore goes on to study Mega Evolution in Kalos. So that should wrap up Rowan's team of Staraptor, Rhyperior, Snorlax, Glaceon, Roserade, and Mega Garchomp. So now we move on to Generation 5 with Professor Juniper, and She was a very hard one to make a team for since she has no clear study, so I couldn't even really gimmick her team, and she's also not referenced really outside of Generation 5, so I couldn't link her to other professors in any way. So this one was a little tough. So I get a few freebies, one being her Cincino seen at the beginning of the games, once as a Minccino in black and white, and as a Cincino in black and white too. Next, I'm giving her Watchog after the one we see her obtain in the catching tutorial in the beginning of Pokemon Black and White. I know this is kind of a lame one, but it's one of the only Pokemon we see her ever obtain, so I have to give it to her. A more unique one is actually the Excelgor she gets in the Pokemon anime. See, she does a trade for Karblast and Shelmet in the anime with Bianca, and she receives Excelgor through the trade evolution afterwards, which I think was pretty cool, so she gets Excelgor for this. Next, I chose to give her Musharna, since she had a hand in the Dream Mist from the Dream World studies, so it makes sense if she had one of her own for her studies. And then I guess I'm just giving her an easy one in Superior since I think the grass starter fits her best in this case. And finally, I gave her Vanillix since her hair kind of looks like a vanilla ice cream scoop and I had nothing better to give her. So there you have it, Juniper's team of Cincino, Excelgor, Musharna, Superior, Watchog, and Vanillix. So on to Kalos with Professor Sycamore. And to start, I'm going straight out with his Mega Garchomp from the anime, which I think is a pretty self-explanatory one. Next, I'm going to give him Mega Blastoise, that he also could Mega if he chooses, which I think will kind of be the common theme for his team, is he can just swap around what he chooses to Mega. He is the professor who studies Mega Evolution after all. But for Blastoise, Sycamore does have all the Kanto starters in their final evolution, and you do actually get to battle them in the game themselves. But I wanted to only give him one Kanto starter, and I chose Blastoise. The next Pokemon I chose for Sycamore is Gogoat. Now, since Professor Sycamore lives in Lumio City, I think having one for transportation for him would make sense. Otherwise, he'd have to constantly be paying Gogoat or taxi fees, which would get expensive after a while. And next is another Pokemon capable of Mega Evolution in Absol. There's not too many real reasons, it kind of just looks like it fits Sycamore. I guess they have the same color palette, but again, it's capable of Mega Evolution, which is Sycamore's study, so we're going to throw him on his team. Next is Talonflame, and I needed, I guess, another filler spot, and the regional bird seemed to work well here. And for his final Pokemon, I chose Gallade. I think Gallade fits for a multiple of reasons. First being, Sycamore knows the champion Diantha fairly well, and her ace is Gardevoir, which is a part of the split evolution with Gallade. Second, Gallade makes its debut in the Sinnoh region, where he did study under Professor Rowan when he was younger. Third, he also worked with Birch on some books like mentioned before on the Pokemon of Hoenn and Kalos, and Gallade's Megastone debuted in ORAS, so it kinda connects with this Pokemon. So there you have Sycamore's team, Mega Garchomp, Gogoat, Blastoise, Absol, Gallade, and Talonflame. So next we hop onto the Alola region where Professor Kui makes his debut, and we see actually a lot of his Pokemon both in the games and the anime. So first we're going to choose Incineroar since we see it both in the anime and in the games depending on which starter you choose. I think it's a very good pick since it did have a pretty big role in the anime and a lot of people do associate this Pokemon over the other starters with Kukui. So next, I'm taking another one of his anime team members in that of Venusaur. So Venusaur works because it is said that Kukui went to Kanto and challenged the league there in both the anime and the games. So having a Kanto Pokemon does make sense for his team. Then I decided to take one more team member from the anime in his Lucario. Now Lucario kind of fits the whole Kukui's move study gimmick since Lucario is good at both physical and special attacking moves. So I think it has a good fit there. Next, I wanted to take Snorlax from his various Pokemon teams in the game. He uses Snorlax both on his champion team, his champion rematch team, and his battle tree team as well as his maxed royal team. So he uses Snorlax a lot in the game, so I think it's a good fit here. Next, for the same reason as the last, I'm choosing Magnezone, since it appears on a lot of his teams and kind of rounds it out as well. And the last Pokemon on his team will be Midday Lycanroc. This is because he did use it on a lot of his teams in the games, but also because he did have the Rockruff in the anime before he let Ash take care of it, so it does fit well here. So that wraps up Kukui's team with Incineroar, Venusaur, Lucario, Snorlax, Magnezone, and Midday Lycanroc. So in Galar we have Professor Magnolia, and her team was the hardest to make by far, since she has little to no appearances in the game, anime, or manga at this point, and also the focus was more on Sonya than her. So her team was thrown together for some more ridiculous reasons than any. So first we have Bolton. Since Sonia has Juniper, Sonia's Juniper could be Magnolia's Bolton's child. It's a little stretch, but it's a possibility. Next is Corviknight, because she has the cane that has the Corvisquire or Corviknight as the handle, and also since Corviknight can Gmax, and she does study Gmax phenomenon. Then I chose to give her one of the starters, and I just think Inteleon fits her the best out of all of them. Then I gave her Hatterene because she does study Dynamax, and Hatterene can Gmax, so again, another one of those Pokemon. I also gave her Poltegeist because I think she does have like a T set outside, so we can kind of just say, oh, she likes tea, here's Poltegeist. And then I gave her Eldegoss because Eldegoss kind of looks like an older Pokemon. And there, Magnolia's team: Bolton, Corviknight, Inteleon, Hatterene, Poltegeist, and Eldegoss. So with all that, I had a super fun time creating these teams for all the professors. I know not all of them are perfect by any means, but I think most of them at least are somewhat related to what the character does or studies, and I think that's good enough for this. So if you have any idea of a Pokemon that would be better for a certain professor and could replace ones I chose, let me know in the comments down below. And also don't forget to like the video and also consider subscribing and tap the bell to get notified when I come out with new videos. Other than that, thanks for coming out.